Alrighty, hello, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been so long, but we are back better than ever. I apologize. I'm gonna go through why I've been a little bit MIA these past few weeks. I just had a lot going on, but today is Self Mastery Monday, and we had this crazy, unexpected thing that happened with the Tate brothers that we're gonna get into, and we're gonna learn a little something, just a little something. And I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time because I know it's pretty busy for me today. But I wanted to come back to you guys with the value that we do week over week, with something that is juicy that you can apply to yourselves, of course. But most importantly, I want to explain to you guys. I have a little bit of a life update, explain to you guys what's going on, why I've been MIA, and what to expect these next few months as we are, I guess you can kind of say, transitioning. I know I mentioned before that I was moving, but now I don't know. I have a lot of stuff up in the air, but we're going to get into it. But before we do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notification, and do like the video. And comment below if you were expecting this arrest that happened with the Tate brothers. I sure was not. I was deeply shocked and even more shocked to find out the why behind it. We're going to get into all of it today. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so I do not have the time today, you guys, to be going through, and excuse my hair right now. I just got caught up a little bit in the rain, so don't mind, but I still wanted to come because this is the only time that I had to honestly record today. So don't mind my hair. We'll be back on Wednesday with better hair and more to say. Hopefully my time allows it. But before I get off into a whole spiel, let's just start off with what's going on with the Tate brothers. So over the weekend, I believe it was Saturday, the Tate brothers were arrested after arriving at an event. I believe they were promoting a fight or some kind of boxing event. I'm not 100% sure. But they were in Miami after coming back from speaking with Congress in Washington, D.C. And they were just, living their lives as we know them to do. And I believe they were promoting a fight. And unexpectedly, the U.S. Marshals came and arrested Andrew Tate. Now, that was a shock even to Andrew Tate, so it seems, and a lot of people on his team, based off of some of the communication that have came out. Everyone is pretty much tracking that he does have charges or is facing charges or potential crimes against him from the UK. But no one expected for them to be adding additional charges, let alone for him to be arrested on U.S. soil, given how well-traveled he has been and open about his travels he has been these past few months. So a lot of people are having questions and are shocked as to wait, why did this happen and why now? So there has been so much stuff going on in the media, but specifically he's been charged. What's officially being out there and what's congruent amongst all outlets right now is that he's been charged with additional sexual trafficking charges, as with RAPE charges, and allegedly even inappropriate images of young children. Now, whether you like Andrew Tate or not, this has been something that he's been going through for the past several years. I want to say we're going 3 years strong now, maybe even a little bit sooner. Maybe even a little bit more. Maybe 3 years, 4 years at most, right? For those who may not know Andrew Tate is pretty much he's been famous for his views on politics, his mentorships with young men and men of this generation, basically promoting masculinity, and promoting men to basically, be strong, go to the gym, make a life for yourself, have families. And, he has been controversial with his takes on, how to handle women. His personal views have been kind of splattered all over the internet to be misconstrued, or it was exactly what he said and it just didn't sit well with people. But people, to make a long story short, he is just a global phenomenon that really blew up with young men because he was saying a lot of things that young men were feeling, specifically to how society is changing, how women are, they're being kind of lost in what to do, and he just basically, provided that a path forward for them, to make a long story short. He's known for his university.com, where he's teaching young men how to make money online, holding men accountable to what their daily structure should look like about working out and working throughout the day, maintaining their family, inspiring them to take care of retire their parents and stuff like that. So overall, his messaging is good. Now, obviously, Andrew Tate's lifestyle and his way of portraying these certain things, not everyone agrees with. Some people think that he's very cocky, and, he's very arrogant in certain aspects, that, he's obviously like very popular with women. So most people think he's a womanizer based off, and, he's just like a misogynist apparently because of the way that he expresses himself to women. To each its own, you know what I'm trying to say? I don't really necessarily see him like that, and it's because I've tuned into some of his interviews, so I understand certain things that he's saying. Obviously, he does say it very aggressively, without filter, so, our lady delicacies will not, it won't be the best thing to hear, right? But I grew up with brothers, so I kind of understand the, guy talk and stuff like that, and that his overall messaging is not bad. But you can kind of say, because of this messaging and because of his influence with young men specifically, and his views on certain politics, specifically with the UK, his criticisms towards there, specifically about immigration and how they're handling crimes, and basically how the UK is falling, you can kind of say he put a target on his back. And whether you agree with the target being, they're using things that actually happened in his past, or whether they're making up fictitious accounts, I think the internet is divided there. But Andrew Tate has been very firm in his position regarding, hey, I've never done these crimes. The crimes that they're putting against me make absolutely no sense. There's no evidence. And him and his brother have been very firm on that. And we've seen how certain cases have been built up and then dismissed. Certain cases are still ongoing. And even now there's more charges. So it begs a question to everyone. Is this actually true? Did Andrew Tate incriminate himself with certain things that he may have said on the internet? Or are people just genuinely out to get him for money, bring him down, and destroy who he is based off the premise that he is just trying to help globally men become men again? And wherever you stand, right? Let's just break this down into two parts. Let's put the case aside for just 1 minute. Let's just break down overall what I believe Andrew Tate's goal is. I don't think Andrew Tate's goal is to bring down women, to be a misogynist, to be known for misogyny. I just do think that he's at a point where he's just very frustrated with the circumstances of young men, and he's very frustrated with the circumstances of the world, that he doesn't care how he says things, and he's just more focused on the goal. His goal, what I'm understanding, is to build young men, especially his own sons and men of this generation, to inspire them to be men, of what a man actually looks like, because he feels like it's been lost within all this technological advancement, with all these different movements that happened in the US that influenced the world, and he just doesn't agree overall with the Western ideology of feminism, and he's just more constituted in a traditional life. And even though, he is recently converted to Islam, his brother is still Christian. They're very open with their lifestyle. They're very open with, what they agree on, with what men actually want, what they personally view how the relationship with men and women should be. And a lot of people don't agree with them. A lot of people do. But I just think it depends on your messaging. But I think overall, him encouraging young men to stay healthy, to go to the gym, to find something you're passionate about, to make money, to take care of your family, to understand the role of a provider, protector, to be that example for your bloodline, to carry on, for legacies and legacies on end, is an overall good message, even if it's not the most digestible message, right? And I think overall in the past few years, he has kept the same overall messaging. I don't think he's fine-tuned it in a way that people would want, but he has been mindful of certain things that may be offensive, that may prohibit him or may cause him more problems than what he's looking to seek out for. I'll say the other part is that I think because he's very open about his views with his country, the country that he grew up in, he was born in the US, but he grew up in the UK, of his frustration with how much the country has changed. And anyone, whether you're in the US, whether you're in Africa, or whether you are in the UK, or whether you're even in China, I'm sure everyone has their things that they like about their country, and their things that they feel like should be improved. And I don't think that anyone should be put in jail or put fake charges on them just because they're boasting of saying an opinion that maybe a lot of people actually do feel. I know that there has been so many crazy things we covered on this channel before, the gang groomings that were happening, and it's so weird to me how they would basically arrest Andrew Tate And from what is put out there, there is no evidence that substantiates the charges that they're putting against him. Now, have I been well versed into the case? No, I have not. I understand that there's certain people out here that may criticize, may even teach me a thing or two. If you have more information, do comment below. I would love to learn and love to understand. But in my current understanding right now, there isn't any substantial evidence that actually proves that the charges that were put against the Tate brothers are actually that are actually true. And I think that's something that you should question. I also think that you should have a speculative personality and also question, why do charges keep coming up? And I think a lot of people revert to, well, it's because he has strong views on immigration. He has strong views on how the political system works in the UK. And he's even been very vocal about calling out certain people in powerful positions to step down and saying, hey, you're not doing a good job. We need better. So I understand that. I just don't see why an entire country that has bigger problems to fry than some man on the internet raving his opinions, as many people do. I understand he has the whole world looking at him, but still, it's still an opinion. And the power that someone holds in a legal position, in a political position, is very different than the leverage that someone holds of influence on the internet. At the end of the day, you have the power to create laws and legislations that will change humanity. Yes, we've seen a major, massive change with the behaviors of young men with Andrew Tate, and that is something to take into account. But at the end of the day, instead of charging him, you saying, why don't you use his influence for better, and sit down and have a conversation, have a debate with him, have a conversation that's actually going to drive change. That maybe there's certain things that he is saying that you should take into consideration, or maybe there's certain things that he lacks a gap in with understanding how certain processes work. Bridge that gap together. I don't think that you should be charging someone innocently because you do not like what they're saying or how they're saying it. I think that there's a better way of going about it. But that's just my opinion. Now, whether it turns out that these allegations are true, that these charges put against them are going to be substantiated and evidence is going to come out, we're just going to have to see. It's been 3 years and we're still waiting on who the victims are, or at least what was actually done, and we have gotten none of that. We just gotten headlines of him being arrested, charges being put on him, and pretty much that continuous cycle of it being dismissed, more charges, being dismissed, more charges, being dismissed, more charges, whether if it's in Romania, the UK, or even when the first time he came to the US with that whole nonsense that happened in Florida. It's kind of getting old, and people want to know, hey, why are we focusing on some man who keeps getting charges dismissed while we focus on people like the gang groomers who actually have evidence, substantial evidence, and victims coming forward, and we know their names, that's been documented? Why are we not arresting them? Why are we not arresting people that have been documented in the Jeffrey Epstein files? Why are we worried about a man that is just, that we have, that no proof or no evidence has been presented? And I know some people are going to be like, oh, he deserves what he's coming because of things that he said on the internet or so on and so forth. Now, I do believe that you should be held accountable to the things that you say, but also there needs to be evidence to substantiate for you to bring a crime against someone. At the end of the day, people say crazy things on the internet all the time. They're not being charged, and hopefully they won't be charged unless there's evidence and proof of people actually coming forward or things actually to show that this person did the crime. Remember, it's innocent until proven guilty. It's not the opposite. And I think that's something very important. But one lesson that I want to share with you guys that we can all take away with this, with what's going on with Andrew Tate, is be mindful and be careful of the things that you say, whether if it's you're saying it in a private conversation, especially if you're saying it online, whether it's something that can incriminate you or not. Be mindful and be thoughtful of your words, because you never know one who's listening. Number two, you never know how they may affect you long term. And three, at the end of the day, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you'll regret or you be put into something more serious later just because you're trying to be funny or you're trying to, get views or stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. And I can't speak for Andrew Tate, but I would say that if he could go back, I would think that if he can go back and maybe fine tune certain things that he was saying about how he handled women, how he dealt with women, and other things that were said, I think that he'd be very more mindful, because, he didn't expect to blow up the way that he did. But also, people, when you have a target on your back, people are going to use whatever they can, whether it was saying in a joking manner, whether you were serious. But also be mindful of, your text messages. Be mindful of the things that you do. Be mindful of the things that you do on a daily basis, and understand how something today that may be small, may be funny, may impact your greater success later. And I think that's something that we should all be mindful of. Like, our characters are going to be a direct, like, what we do on a daily basis is directly going to reflect who we are, right? So whether if it's something in the past, whether if it's actively right now, just be mindful of how you go about things. Be mindful of the things that you say. Be mindful of the things that you text. Be mindful of the things that you put out to the public, because they can come back and bite you, even if there's nothing substantial there. And it's unfortunate that if in the grand scheme of things later on, it is actually proven that he was completely innocent. The things that he was saying about how he handled with women was completely like just a joke, or that those were consensual actions that he was having with women that were of age. It's not like he was dealing with women that were underage. So, be mindful. And as a man, I would highly encourage you to protect yourself. I am a woman who has brothers, who has men in their lives that I genuinely do care about them. And it's the reason why I started to listen to Andrew Tate, because I seen the opportunities with men. I seen the lack of motivation. I seen the lack of direction. And I saw that when men started to listen to Andrew Tate, they started to feel motivated again. And, I don't agree with everything that he says. I don't agree with everything everyone says. But I think the overall messaging is very impactful. And I hope that at the core of it, that people can take away the good and push away the rest, And if, it turns out, I'm not going to sit here and be biased. If it turns out that these allegations are true and they are proven in court, then, hopefully that, justice is done. At the end of the day, it's nothing personally against them. It's just that I do believe in justice. I do believe that if there are victims, especially people that were affected, that were underage, we need to, hold everyone accountable, regardless of who you are, regardless if I agree with your messaging, regardless if I agree with certain things that you do, or if I don't. If you're innocent and you're innocent, if you're guilty, you're guilty, and justice needs to be done regardless. But that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk to you guys on this Self-Mastery Monday. And the biggest thing I want you guys to take away from this is just being mindful of your actions, because they obviously dictate your character and how the world is going to view you and treat you. And I would hate for any of you guys to go through this. If you blow up magically and then certain things from your past come out and you're just like, you don't know where to put your face, or even worse, that you end up being targeted or even put charges on because of certain things that you said that obviously are a little bit questionable, maybe a little bit distasteful, but overall there's no crime there, right? So that's all I have for this topic. Now, to give you guys a quick update on what I have going on, I have been traveling. I've been very busy with meetings. I had a few opportunities that came knocking on my door, and I'm in the process of kind of evaluating what the right direction is for me. I think there's certain things that are set in stone, but nothing's set in stone until you sign on the dotted line. So we are going to be continuing. We're back. We are back. I'm obviously going to be moving, but we're back sharing content every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So definitely tune in. We're going to be sharing new topics. We have so much to catch up on, so we're going to be doing it throughout this week. And of course, do remember that we have our new series, Love Actually, every Friday between 7 and 8 p.m. And I think you guys have been enjoying it and will continue to enjoy it. But I just want to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with me. You guys going to see me go to a different location soon. It's just a matter of which opportunities I decide to take, and then managing my schedule accordingly. So hopefully I'm able in the next few weeks to give you guys a set time, week over week, on the days that we are dropping content, on when to expect me. And do drop a comment below on any topics that I may have missed that you guys want me to cover. I know that this was one thing that was just really big, and I think it's something that can definitely, we can all take something from it, right? We can all take a lesson learned from this. Whether if you're a man and you're trying to find direction, or whether you're just a regular person and you're trying to live your life in the world, or become something bigger, or whatever the case may be. Just being mindful of the things that you say and the things that you put out there, because they will define your character, which later will impact your future. But that's all I have for today. I do have so much to catch up on, you guys. We have so much to talk about, so much to review, whether if it's Candace Owens coming back, whether if it's the Tyler Robinson case, whether if it's things that are going on with the U.S. or global affairs. We have so much to talk about, but I don't have the time to talk about it all in one day. But that's all I have for today. We will be back on this Wednesday. If you guys have anything specific that you want me to cover, do drop a comment below. Do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, and do like the video, ladies and gents. And I'll see you guys in my next video. So bye.